Good morning, everyone. It's 10 a.m., so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Rebecca Kluber-Dance-Hansinger, the Educational Services Librarian for the Central New York Library Resources Council. My pronouns are she, her. Welcome to the third and final webinar of our CLRC Services webinar series. Today we'll cover continuing education, cultural heritage and digitization services, health at CLRC, and resource sharing. Before we get started, I'd like to take care of some housekeeping. You may have noticed that you were muted upon entering this meeting. We would prefer you to stay muted throughout the presentation portion of this webinar, so please use the chat to introduce yourself and offer any comments or questions as they arise. Automated captions are available for this webinar. To toggle the subtitles, click the More button at the bottom of the screen and then select Caption in the menu that appears. All attendees are expected to follow CLRC's Code of Conduct, which will be added to the chat shortly. To summarize, please treat all CLRC staff, event attendees, and speakers with respect. Those who are not adhering to the Code of Conduct will be removed from the webinar. This webinar is being recorded and a link to the recording will be shared in the next few days. I'll be sending out a link to all of our recordings to all the registrants in the next few days, actually. And as I mentioned, this is the third and final webinar in our three-part CLRC Services webinar series. I'll be sharing the links to the recording of the previous webinars in the chat. Actually, Ryan Perry will be doing that. During this webinar, you'll hear from me covering continuing education, Digital Projects and Preservation Librarian Ashley Beavers covering Cultural Heritage and Digitization Services, Medical Circuit Librarian Sarah Lawler covering Health at CLRC, and Member Services Librarian Sophie Friedman covering Resource Sharing. You can view the slide deck for this webinar at any time. The link will be added to the chat. Now, without further ado, I'll jump into my portion on continuing education. Okay. So, talking about continuing education, what does that cover? That includes webinars and workshops, the annual conference, and on-demand learning. Those are the three things I'm going to talk about today. So starting with webinars and workshops, we offer various webinars and workshops to our members covering a range of topics. These are a few of the webinars we've done and workshops we've done in the past year. They covered DEI and cultural humility, crisis management, making your library ADA friendly, Robert's Rules of Order. The facilities management was in person. So I recently sent out a CE survey to our members, and the majority of our members did continue to prefer webinars versus in-person programming. There was still a little bit of interest in hybrid or some networking opportunities, so I'm still looking for ways to incorporate more in-person events. So if there's something you're interested that you think is better suited towards in-person programming, or you'd like to put on some in-person programming yourself, please feel free to reach out to me. We also have a webinar archive with recordings of some of the webinars we have offered in the past. Generally, we can only provide recordings to registrants, but sometimes speakers are kind enough to allow us to add their presentations to our archive, and those are often the recordings and sometimes the slide deck as well if they'd like to share that. And if you want to, we can take a quick look at the webinar archive and see what we have. So you'll see we go back to like 2018, and some speakers also prefer to put a time limit on what we share with our registrants and our members, but there are some presentation slides. There's a script for one of them and some other things. So if you ever want to take a look, let me know. If there's something you don't see on our archive, also let me know and I can let you know if it's accessible to you. Okay. There are some upcoming offerings I have as well. Again, the ones that I listed previously were in the past, but upcoming, we've got in August a webinar where we're going to learn how libraries increase religious equity by reclassifying the Dewey 200s, which registration is currently open for. You can view our website for that. Reference skills and collection management will be coming soon in September, so just keep an eye on your email. You can view our event listing page for any upcoming events. They'll be also included in the monthly CE Corner. I send out emails when registration is open for any of our webinars, so those reference skills and collection management webinars will be advertised via email as well. Again, the event listing page is where you can find all of those things. And all of these links are in the slide deck that is provided to you, and I'll provide it to you again at the end of this webinar. CLRC members also get access to continuing education produced by other ESLN councils. There are eight other councils across New York State. I generally add other council webinars to our website. Occasionally, I will add in-person offerings if they are taking place in regions close to ours, like the Capital District, Northern, South Central. Those events can be found on the event listing page, but there's also a link to esln.org where you can kind of get to all the other councils. If you ever have a question about attendance at any of those or whether those council events are open to you, please feel free to shoot me an email. Okay, so in case you're curious how I come up with topics for these trainings, I have several different ways. We do have a continuing education committee that includes 7 people from CLRC member organizations. We meet quarterly. They offer feedback on previous webinars, and they often suggest topics or speakers, and we just have a little chat about what CE would be useful to them and what they think would be useful to other members. I mentioned this a little earlier, but I also put out a CE survey biannually, so every 2 years. The most recent one was sent in May, so that often informs some topics. I also just ask about format, time of day, other things like that. So that's how I can get suggestions. There are also request forms, and we can take a look at those. So you can request trainings or webinar viewing parties if you're interested. So here are forms to request a training, in-person webinar. If you have a topic, if you have a presenter you want to hear from, you can send that along. Or if you would like to present something yourself, you can fill out this form as well. And then we also have a webinar viewing party request form. So what that is another organization is putting on a webinar. If you know at least 3 people, including yourself, who want to watch that webinar, submit this form to me and we can kind of set that up for you. We can pay that fee as for a group viewing, and you can either host it at your institution or you can ask us if we can host it at our institution. It's sort of up to you. But if there's a webinar you're interested in, feel free to use this form. Okay. I also come up with ideas just from attendance at events or reading articles, all that stuff, just living in library land and hearing from all of you. And again, that's why I put my last bullet point there. I get ideas from you all. So if you see me in an event and something comes up, feel free to approach me at any time, send me an email, give me a call. I showed you those forms, and you can always use the forms, or you can contact me directly if you'd prefer to avoid that. And I mentioned this in the form, but if you'd like to present to the CLRC membership or all of New York State, I'm happy to facilitate that as well. We're a friendly group, so if there's something you'd like to try on us before submitting to a larger regional or national conference, let me know. I'm happy to help you and make that happen. The next thing I want to talk about is our annual conference, which is a full day of professional development that takes place every year in October and comprises of a keynote address, which is either a speaker or a panel, lightning talks from CLRC members, which are often grant recipients, but a call for proposals goes out in late winter, early spring every year. We present library awards and we have a business meeting. The keynote will often cover topic relevant to library work and for all of our members. And the lightning talks, again, like I mentioned, could be on a variety of topics. And we're happy to hear from any and all CLRC members. Whatever you want to share with us, we'd love to hear about it. And obviously, along with the annual conference, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you all to save the date for our upcoming annual conference. That will take place on October 8th at the Everson Museum of Art. Registration will open soon, but mark your calendars so you're ready to go. The next thing I want to talk about is on-demand learning. We offer access or discounts to several different on-demand learning platforms. Those are Skillshare, Treehouse, Tech Talk, and Library Juice Academy. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about Skillshare and Treehouse. Members can get access to either platform for 2 weeks at a time. Access is rotated on a first-come, first-served basis, and you can request access via a Google form, and we can take a look at that in a second. Skillshare offers online classes in design, business, technology, photography, entrepreneurship, and more, and they're often taught by industry leaders. They range from a quick 24-minute video to multi-session courses, and those are all self-paced. Treehouse is technology education. So they have classes in HTML, WordPress, Python, and more. And those are, you can take individual courses, so a small chunk, or you can follow a multi-course track for something, which is a lot longer and could potentially take up to 40 hours. But those are, again, self-paced. So if we want to take a look, this is what Skillshare looks like if you want to take a look at some of the classes that are offered. So you'll see there's one on time management. It's a quick 24 minutes on organizing your life. But then there's also Java from beginner to expert, and that takes 10 hours. There's some creative things there, fundamentals of DSLR photography. So it's a lot of different things thrown in there. Treehouse, as I mentioned, is more technology based. So let's see about joining a track. If you view a track, you can do, like I said, some of them are like 40 hours. So there's front-end web development for 56 hours or full stack JavaScript for 41 hours. So those are full tracks that you take. Or you can take a look at all the courses and just do one course at a time. So HTML, and they're 15-minute things that are just talking about like ChatGPT or CSS. So a little bit different. And I mentioned you can request access via a Google form, so that's located on our website. I also send out an email promoting these once a month, but you can request access to on-demand learning at any time. We just ask your member organization and you tell me what service you want access to. You're welcome to get both at the same time if that's what you'd like. And if they're not, we have 3 seats to each of those platforms. If they're not available, you'll be added to a wait list and I'll contact you when a seat becomes available for you. Okay. Tech Talk is a collection of articles and videos written each week by top training experts for professionals and students, and it helps people stay up to date for technology. So again, that's a newsletter that goes out weekly. If you are subscribed to our listserv, you will receive Tech Talk automatically in your inbox. If you are not subscribed to our listserv, please subscribe to our listserv. The link will be available in the slide deck. So as a CLRC member, you are welcome to all of these articles and videos. They also offer webinars. I don't think they do them on like a regular 2-week basis or something like that, but they're often webinars. You have access to those too. The login information for the Tech Talk website can be found in the weekly newsletter, but you can always email me if you're having issues with access. And you can access their archive of articles and webinars by using their website. They often cover hard skills like Microsoft Word or Canva, but then they'll also do soft skills like communication, dealing with conflict. So they've got a range of things. If you want to take a look at their website, this is Tech Talk. You can log in. Our login is very easy to see. But if you take a look, you can search by keyword topic, but see this one is the most recent article. They sent one today about using Mentimeter, which is a great tool for presentations, but then also they show Office 365 and what else? Minimizing conflict. Like I said, it's a lot of different topics. So again, as a CLRC member, you get access to all of this. The last on-demand learning thing I want to mention is Library Juice Academy. So Library Juice Academy offers a range of online professional development courses for librarians, archivists, and other staff, and they focus on practical topics to build your skills. So CLRC members receive a 20% discount on any Library Juice Academy course. These are asynchronous courses that involve reading assignments, offline activities, and class participation. So I recently took a 4-week course on theories of adult learning. So those are timed though, so you do have to complete assignments on time to your online teacher. If you're looking for a way to fund the course, I recommend applying for a CLRC Professional Development Award. And again, this is a discount, and I will mention this if you ever request the discount code from me. Cannot use it along with another discount. So that 20% is the only one you can use. So if you're ever having an issue with it, that's likely why. All right, that's all I have on continuing education. So now I'm going to hand things over to our digital projects and preservation librarian, Ashley Beavers.
So I'll be covering our cultural heritage and digitization services, starting with our circuit archivist, then traveling exhibits, then digitization equipment loans, and then DigLab Services, where I'll talk about Digital Dark Archive, Empire Archival Discovery Cooperative, and New York Heritage Digital Collections. Our circuit archivist is available for our full and affiliate level members, and Barbara, the circuit archivist, can consult on archival and collection management best practices, give guidance on indexing and collection development, assist in developing processes for accessioning, processing, and making materials accessible, also assist in developing policies and documentation like deeds of gift, copyright, disaster plans, and more. She can provide training in processing collections and in creating finding aids and inputting them into Empire Archival Discovery Cooperative, which from now on I'll refer to as Empire ADC. At the end of the 15 hours, Barbara provides a short report that outlines outcomes and the next steps for you to consider moving forward. On our traveling exhibits, we have 3 that you can host: immigration, women's suffrage, and the Erie Canal. We have the physical exhibits and online versions. And the easiest way to find our traveling exhibits is to click on the title of the slide or on the traveling and online exhibits that's linked in the slide. Then you'll see traveling and online exhibits, and underneath you'll see view combined schedule for all 3 exhibits, where you can see the availabilities for all 3. Underneath that are the 3 exhibits, and you can view the online version of them. It's also where you can schedule using the request form underneath each exhibit. And if you request an exhibit and didn't check the schedule, you may receive an email saying the months you requested have already been assigned, and to look at the schedule if there is another month that you would be interested in having the exhibit. Also, we are in the process of having another exhibit for a limited time on messages from survivors. So this is our immigration exhibit. Our women's suffrage exhibit. And this is our Erie Canal exhibit. The iPad is not included anymore. And this is Messages from Survivors, One Family's Holocaust Legacy exhibit we are working on having for a limited time. It's 6 retractable standing banners or panels and 6 shoebox cards. Moving on to digitization equipment loans, we loan out scanning equipment and provide training on how to scan and how to create the metadata. With materials being digitized, it's typical that they're uploaded to New York Heritage, and the training that's provided can be in person, over Zoom, and or with our guides on how to use the scanners. Members can borrow equipment for as long as they need, and scanning dimensions for each scanner are listed on our website if you're interested. If there is equipment you're interested in that we don't have and it will help digitize your project, reach out to me and we can see if we can purchase it and provide it to you and to other members. And now I'll cover what digitization equipment we have that can be loaned out. Starting from the top image and going clockwise, we have 3 flatbed scanners, but at the moment only 2 can be loaned out as I need to examine the third. And they are our Epson Perfection V500 photo scanner and Epson 10,000 XL. The Epson V500 can scan small size glass plate negatives, photograph slides, and photographs, and the Epson 10,000 XL can scan larger size photographs. For audio equipment, we have our Blue Yeti USB microphone and Tascam US 122 USB audio mixer, which can record audio. Now I'll cover digitization equipment we have in the office that can't be loaned out, but you are welcome to schedule a day and time with me to come digitize a small number of items and create metadata for them. Starting from the top and going clockwise again, these scanners can't be loaned out due to their size, and in the case of the Epson 12,000 XL, it has a fragile attachment, and for the copy stand, it will be in use very soon. The Epson 12,000 XL can scan larger size glass plate negatives, photograph slides, and larger size photographs that the Epson V500 can't, but the Epson 10,000 XL can. The ATEEZ Book Drive Mini 2 can scan bound items like newsletters, yearbooks, and art exhibition catalogs, to name a few. The Kick Click Mini, a flatbed, can scan unbound newspapers or items that are too large to scan on the ATEEZ, but not too large, which would require the usage of the copy stand. The DSLR copy stand can digitize oversized materials, bound and unbound, like a cemetery register, which you can see in the image. We've used it mostly for large bound items that won't fit on the ATEEZ, and I use various lengths, thicknesses, and sizes of styrofoam to cradle the books. Also, since this image was taken, we've added 2 more lights to see if we can get a nice balance of light across all the pages and a larger screen to examine the scans. And so remember, you can come to our office after emailing me and we coordinate a day and time for you to use our in-house scanners. On to our DigLab services. We offer in-house digitization and metadata services for members at cost, as well as site visits, which are kind of like cultural heritage consultations. We also provide advisory services like digitization, collection management expertise, basic archival processing, and preservation advice to members. On the digital dark archive, let me first explain what it is. A digital dark archive is a file storage system designed to preserve the information it contains and serve as a fail-safe during disaster recovery. It is typically used for the preservation of content that is accessible elsewhere. It is not publicly accessible as access is restricted to a few individuals. So for our digital dark archive / storage service, it's available to our full and affiliate level members. It's handled by our sister council, Southeastern, and we offer a long-term storage for files. And it should not be used as the only backup storage, but as an additional backup storage solution. Turning to Empire ADC, which is for our full and affiliate level members, let me first say what a finding aid is. And that is, it provides information about a collection's creation, context, size, topics, and materials. It tells you what organization has the collection, how to contact that organization, and how you can access and use the collection. It does not have digital versions of the collection items like photographs or documents. It just has the descriptions of collection and collection items. Some of the finding aids on Empire ADC may include links to online versions of the collection items. And this is where members can create and upload finding aids of their archival, special, and historical collections that document a wide range of topics, people, and organizations. And these can range in size from one item to many boxes of items. And so Empire ADC brings together descriptions of these collections, which are finding aids, to connect people with the resources they need and the organizations that have them. Lastly, New York Heritage Digital Collections, or New York Heritage, is a collaborative project of 8 of the 9 Empire State Library Network library councils. Libraries, museums, archives, and cultural institutions have contributed their collections to New York Heritage, and members of these councils can contribute digital versions, like photographs, letters, diaries, maps, directories, artifacts, oral histories, and more. And these give a glimpse into the history and culture of New York State throughout time. For our members, we provide startup support by giving guidance on how to contribute materials. And it's no matter where you are in the process, like just beginning to digitize, to materials that have been digitized but need metadata, to reviewing the digitized files and metadata and uploading them. And those who are interested in actually uploading to New York Heritage themselves, you can ask for the training, but we can upload your digitized collection and its metadata for you, and you will be notified when it has been uploaded and is accessible to the public. And if you have collections on New York Heritage and you find an error or the contact person needs to be changed, or you find changes that are needed, I'm your contact for that. And now I'll pass it over to Sarah Lawler.
Good morning. I'm here to talk about the Health at CLRC service. So this is the Hospital Library Services program. The service provides library-related support for hospitals and academic medical centers in Onondaga County, Madison, Herkimer, and Oneida. So this is the CLRC service area. Next slide, please. So I facilitate the service. My name is Sarah Lawler. I am the coordinator of the service, and I'm also a clinical outreach librarian at Upstate Health Sciences Library. So CLRC actually contracts with the Upstate Health Sciences Library in order to provide this service. Next slide, please. So if you remember, what do you receive? Typically, membership kind of falls within two tiers. The first tier is usually reserved for sites that have librarians and or library staff. So usually what they are after is MISP funding, which Sophie is going to talk more about during her portion. But MISP is New York State funding for medical information resources. And that is, there's a lot of funding available for that. So that is usually a draw for those tier 1 members. In addition, we have a hospital library services committee where we meet quarterly to discuss issues that hospitals and hospital libraries are having, things that they need, and we make decisions about where funding for the program will go and what it will go towards. So those are usually the reasons why tier 1 members who have librarians and or library staff still want to become members. Tier 2 is a little bit different. It's typically for sites that do not have librarians or libraries on staff, and we call these our circuit hospitals. Next slide, please. So the services that we offer to our circuit hospitals or tier 2 members are pretty extensive. So first is literature searching. So when people need information on a particular topic, they will reach out to me, usually via email, tell me a little bit about their question and see if I can get any medical journal articles on that particular topic. An example that I've had recently is someone at one of our hospitals was updating a policy and they needed new information about IV administrations for newborns. So I went and searched in the databases in the literature, pulled out articles for them and sent them along to them so they could update their policy. Other situations are identified article delivery. So sometimes people know exactly which article they need full text of, and they send me the title of it, and I respond with full text for that. So sometimes we have to go through ILL, and that's where Sophie comes in, but that is another service that we provide to our circuit hospitals. So usually the situations I mentioned a little bit about policies and updating policies. Usually people need help with things like patient care, root cause analysis. That's when someone dies unexpectedly in a hospital and they need to do an investigation. Usually they have to produce a report pretty quickly and they need articles to support that report. And that is one service that we offer. In addition to these, we provide usually more straightforward library book resources. So things like books, ebooks, other resources, and we provide databases. So if a site is of particular interest in one database, we can purchase that for them if they have money in the budget and get them up and running with that service. I also provide on-site support, including training, database management, and rounding. So rounding is when I go to the staff in a particular hospital, usually along with someone from that hospital who knows everyone really well already. I go around, see if they have a minute to chat, tell them a little bit about the service, what I can provide, and see if they have any questions for me right then. And then we provide other services as needed. This is determined on a case-by-case basis. In the past, we've done things like help with collection development at these sites. Next slide, please. So these are our members for both of the tiers. The tier 1 is the ones that have libraries and librarians on staff, and tier 2 are the hospitals that do not. Next slide, please. Okay, so I also wanted to talk a little bit about what services that Health at CLRC provides are available to all CLRC members. So periodically, we try to provide access to a Medical Library Association webinar, and this is available to all CLRC staff. So sometimes these can be really specific, like information on how to conduct a systematic review, which generally is going to be of more interest to a medical librarian than someone who is in regular academics or public or other special libraries. But sometimes the topics are a little more general. They could be around programming. So when that's the case, and if you're interested in the topic, when the email comes through, definitely sign up for it. You are welcome to join us for those CE opportunities. I also wanted to mention our health literacy conference. So for the past 3 years, usually in June, we offer a health literacy conference event where we have continuing education session that's available for free. So kind of like the MLA webinars I was discussing above. And we also have a book talk. So we choose an author who wrote a book, usually on health literacy, and invite them to come speak and give an intro about their book. Then we can have a conversation with the author. We can have an opportunity to ask them questions. And then everyone who registers for the conference gets a copy of the book. So they get that in their mailbox and are able to read the book themselves. So that's a great opportunity. I also wanted to mention, so this isn't a Health at CLRC service, but it's something I provide in my work at Upstate. So the Upstate Health Sciences Library Consumer Health Service. Upstate is open to the public. We are dedicated to serving the community. And so if a member of the community is looking for health information, we provide it totally free of cost. So we can email with them, check with them on the phone, talk through their question, and then we can provide whatever health information they're looking for. So sometimes it is more patient level information. They're just looking for high quality information on a topic that is of particular concern to them. They just got a diagnosis, something like that. And sometimes they're looking for medical journal articles that are a little bit more high level. They're directed towards medical professionals, and they can't pay to get that particular article because it's behind a paywall. So in those situations, we work with them to get them the information that they need totally free of cost. So we can either email them the information or we mail it to their home address. And if they want to come in, they can set up an appointment with us to do that as well. So since all of you are from different types of libraries who interact with members of the public, if you have someone who is interested in medical journal articles that are not available through your organization, we can provide that to them. So I just wanted to shout that out since it can be a referral you have in your back pocket. Next slide, please. Okay, so there is my information. If you have any questions about the service, Health at CLRC, or if we can provide you with a service, please reach out to me. I'd love to discuss it. My contact information is right there. Thank you so much. And now I will hand it over to Sophie Friedman.
Thanks, Sarah. Hi, everyone. My name is Sophie Friedman, and I'm the Member Services Librarian here at CLRC. I'm still quite new to my position. I actually joined the team in early May, so I'm not even 3 months in at the moment. I've learned a lot from Ryan and the rest of my coworkers already, but I'm definitely still learning about our organization and our members and working to define my role here. I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to discover how I can best serve all of you and the rest of our members. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about one of my main job responsibilities, which is managing the resource sharing services that CLRC offers. So I'll cover our Medical Information Services program, Interlibrary Loan, special interest groups, Little Free Libraries, and our newly launched Project Assistance Service. First up is MISP, which refers to the Medical Information Services program. the New York State Library provides funding through MISP for the provision of medical and consumer health information services for all types of libraries and library systems. MISP intends to extend public access to medical information, and this is not limited to medical libraries. CLRC members can use MISP funds for a variety of purposes, including but not limited to reimbursements for medical ILL costs, medical and health databases, and purchasing or accessing physical and/or digital resources. You can go to our website to see more examples of possible uses for MISP funding. You can also feel free to reach out if you have an idea for a service or program that you think might be a good candidate for MISP funding that doesn't fit into one of the categories that you see on the website. As an example, we recently received a request for MISP funding for the purchase of additional copies of heavily used textbooks at an academic library. This was not a use case we'd come across before, but it aligned well with MISP's goals, and we are currently working on a grant program to address this need. Reimbursement requests for MISP can be submitted quarterly or monthly if you prefer. Please note that the reimbursement year runs from June 1st to May 31st. Next is Interlibrary Loan. CLRC provides interlibrary loan borrowing services at no charge to our member libraries, which increases accessibility to information for end users, your patrons. ILL materials include books, journal articles, and other media. We facilitate access to electronic resource sharing via OCLC WorldShare, ILLiad, DocLine, and other platforms as needed. I typically use WorldShare for the majority of online resource requests, including academic journal articles. Our ILLiad account is through the New York State Library and is especially useful for newspaper articles, particularly those on microfiche. And DocLine is great for medical or health-related articles, especially those found via PubMed. If I can't locate a resource on any of these three platforms, I do some creative digging to find the requested information elsewhere. To place a borrowing request for any of our ILL services, please email me directly at sfriedman@clrc.org, and you can also reach out to me with any ILL-related questions at any time. CLRC offers special interest groups to foster professional knowledge sharing and increase professional development opportunities for our members. We are currently facilitating 2 active SIGs, one for resource sharing and another for library assistants and paraprofessionals. The resource sharing SIG is dedicated to any librarian or information professional who works in the realm or realms of ILL, cataloging, and/or access services. Interlibrary loan librarians, access services managers, cataloging librarians, archivists, special collections librarians, collection managers, and many others might find this SIG of interest. The current chair of the RS SIG is Stephanie Helscher of SUNY Health Sciences Library in Syracuse. The library assistants and paraprofessional SIG is open to all library support staff, including circulation coordinators, clerks, pages, social media managers, technology assistants, and more. The chair of the LA SIG is Rena Brower of Maxwell Memorial Library in Camillus. Both of these special interest groups were lying somewhat dormant during the gap between my predecessor's departure and my joining CLRC a few months ago, so I'm currently working on getting them back up and running. The goal of the SIGs is to create or recreate a space where folks can meet virtually and/or in person to discuss shared interests, ideas, lessons, challenges, and wins in a setting that is both professional and social. We want to listen to your needs and meet you where you're at. That's kind of the bread and butter of the SIGs. If you're interested in getting involved in either of the SIGs, please reach out to me or the SIG chair, whose email addresses you can find on the SIG webpage, and we'll make sure you're included in future communications. Also, if you know of an interest, either yours or somebody else in your institutions, in an additional SIG, we're happy to have that conversation as well. Most of our members have probably heard of, if not used, Little Free Libraries. Little Free Libraries' mission is to be a catalyst for building community, inspiring readers, and expanding book access for all through a global network of volunteer-led Little Free Library book sharing boxes. CLRC curates and maintains 2 Little Free Libraries in the Syracuse area to promote community resource sharing. Each month, the Little Free Libraries are inventoried, organized, weeded, and replenished to provide varied and relevant materials to anyone who passes by. One of our LFLs is located right across the street from our current office off of Widewaters Parkway at 5710 Commons Park in East Syracuse. The other is located off of Carrier Circle at 100 Twin Oaks Drive in Syracuse. Don't feel like you need to memorize these locations. You can always search for them using the map function on the Little Free Library website, which I've linked in the heading above on this slide. Lastly, I'm excited to present a service we launched just a few weeks ago, the Project Assistance Service. The PAS offers short-term aid for member institutions in need of direct, active, project-based support. If you're short-staffed, have an idea that's been sitting on the back burner for a while, or could use help dislodging a stuck project, this service might be a good fit for you. Members may submit service requests for project assistance not to exceed 5 contact hours each. After CLRC staff does an initial review of the request, we will schedule a short call to discuss the project in depth and understand its goals and outcomes. In some cases, we may determine that a project is better suited for grant funding or referral to other established resources, in which case we'll provide appropriate direction. If your project is approved for this service, CLRC staff member or members will travel to your institution or connect virtually to provide hands-on assistance. At the conclusion of the project, you'll receive a brief report reflecting outcomes and suggesting possible next steps. The nature of the service requests will depend on each institution's needs and therefore may vary widely. Some possible activities include shelving or reshelving library materials, training for a specific software or program such as WorldShare or Google Workspace, best practices for accounting via QuickBooks, creating or reviving a social media presence, establishing project management practices, and consulting on building a website using WordPress. Please note that this is absolutely not an exhaustive list. The PAS is brand new and will likely be iterated on and redefined as requests come in and projects are completed. If you have any general questions, or if you'd like to go over your project before submitting a request, you can email or call me to discuss. That's all I have for you today, so I'll pass the baton back to Rebecca to field your questions and wrap things up.
Thanks, Sophie, and thank you, Sarah and Ashley, for your portions of the presentation. If you have any questions for us or feedback or anything you'd like to suggest to us, please feel free to put that in the chat now. And thank you, Ryan, for offering all of those links to us throughout the presentation. We also just added the link to the slides from the presentation, which you can view at any time. I also included in that last slide ways to contact us, so those will link to all of our emails if you have any questions or concerns or just want more information about things we talked about today. So again, any questions, comments for the good of the cause? We'll give it another minute for anything to come through. Okay. I don't see anything, so again, feel free to contact us at any time via email, via phone, however you'd like to get in touch. We're happy to help you in any way. I hope these webinars serve to inform you about things we're doing, but I also want to say if there's anything else we can be doing for you, please reach out. We can try to make it work. All right. Thank you, everyone, and thanks again to Ashley, Sarah, and Sophie for presenting with me today. Bye, everyone.